Okay, this time I'll be talking to you about the CPU. Very important part of your motherboard. Basically, you can say that this is the heart, and the hard drive is the brain, and the motherboard is the immune system of everything. That's the reason why you want to start with a motherboard, then you want to work to the CPU. You can get the RAM, you can go whichever way you want to go, but this is what I recommend: getting the motherboard, getting the RAM, getting the CPU. Put whatever you want to put on it, as long as it's not going to exceed the specifications of the motherboard. In this case, this motherboard can support a 400 and a 533 bus speed. Now what does that mean? That means how fast it can move. Also, it matters about what gigahertz it's going to run at. In this case, I have a 2.4 gigahertz. Basically what you need to know is higher or lower gigahertz run on different bus speeds. You can get the same CPU with a different bus speed, and basically it'll allow your computer to move faster or move slower. So I'd always recommend getting what you can afford, but also in the same aspects of getting what you need to do what you need to do on your computer. If you want to do gaming, you're going to need a much better processor to process everything. In this case, I actually had two computers. I ripped the other motherboard out and put in a different motherboard that can support 800 bus speed and move 5 times faster than this one does. Now, for purposes, this one is a 478 slot. On the newer models, I would highly recommend using the slot 775, and basically what that means is it means on what type of processor is going to be in there, what kind of slots in there. So when you keep all this in mind, just make sure a couple things. You know what the bus speed is, you know how many gigahertz you can put in there by the bus speed, the slot, and the other thing is you're going to need to know if it can support the Pentium 4, the Pentium D, the Core 2 Dual, or whatever it is. That will give you specifications in your specs. And then once you go to them, find out what it is. You can go on eBay, you can go on half.com, you can go, I mean, not half.com, you can go on Amazon, you can go on overstock.com, go to a realtor. Basically, I would say if you're building a cheap computer, go to one of them first three, because they're going to be the cheapest. If you do buy a used one, be in mind that sometimes they don't work, sometimes they do. In my other one, I got a 2.8 processor, the one I was telling you about. I used the 800. It lasted about 6 months. Then it took a crap. I put a new one in. I bought one from eBay, another used one. It cost me $5. Says $10 on 2 CPUs, and this one's been lasting me over a year and a half now. So this is a hobby of mine, and I like for other people to know, because I got into a lot of mess when I'm building computers. The only other thing I want to tell you about is your heat-seeking fan. Standard heat-seeking fan is great for whatever you're going to do, except for when you're moving a lot of stuff around. When you're using it constantly, open up many things. Now the thing about RAM is, I don't know if I mentioned or not, the RAM basically will allow you to do multiple things at a time. The CPU will allow it to move faster at the time. The colder everything is, the better it's going to work, the less load it has, and everything's going to move faster, everything's going to move better. In this case, I just have a standard heatsink fan for the 478. I do have one that I ripped out of my other one. This is what you would call the 778 slot, and basically you would have these little pins that you would have to clip down. They're not very hard. All of them are clipped down, except for the only thing you have to look at is when you upgrade a CPU heatsink, you might have to do some modifications. You might have to use wire ties. You might have to take the motherboard out, put this plate in the back. In my case, I just got one that already had the same attachments on there, so that way I can upgrade my fan. Now, basically, let me talk about the fans. Fans are important. They keep everything cool. but they're noisy, just like I mentioned in the chip on the first part of this video. Basically, the fans, more power you're going to use, which means it's not going to be eco, and then you're actually going to have a louder computer. Unless you go out and you spend a lot of money for a lot of fans that run a little, quieter. Another thing to know about is the bigger the fan, the less RPMs it's going to run, which means the slower it's going to move, which means the better it's going to push out air. Smaller S1s, they push out too fast, they run like 3,000 RPMs, so bigger in this case is better. Normally what you would have is you would have a CPU fan and you would have a case fan. I don't have a case fan here with me, but you can see them on eBay or Amazon or whatever, just case fan, just square fan, goes by millimeter. I'd highly recommend using the 120 if it'll fit. If not, using a 80 millimeter. One important thing, thermal compound when it's coming to the heatsink. Heatsink ain't nothing but this thing right here with the fan. That confused me at first when people come on talking about heatsink. I don't know if that's going to help you or not. The thermal compound, don't skimp on it. Don't get the cheap stuff. If you're going to be building computers, get some good stuff. Me personally, I'm not trying to sell you anything, but I am going to try to sell you this stuff called polysynthetic. It's made by Spectracool. This stuff is phenomenal. It's like $3-4 off eBay. They're the only people that sell it. This stuff is excellent. But anyway, that's all I really wanted to talk to you about in this segment. Next, I will be going over a little bit of other components, but also if you're building a computer now, you must know about these little pins all over the motherboard. A couple things about it. You have this little sound piece card. I know you can't see it very well, but this would actually hook up to your CD or DVD drive like I showed you earlier. You have what they call these USB front pins. Basically, any type of pin setup you have, it's going to be missing a pin, so you won't get confused, but you should always look at it and before you're putting it in to see where everything's at. Another piece would be, let me see where it's at. Right here. This is all the switch stuff. It's in very, very small letters. So you can't really see it very well, but the thing about this is, if you're putting it in an old case, like I usually am, you'll have different pin connectors, and you'll have to know which ones plug into where. Basically, the main one is you'll have the power. You plug it in. The other ones are basically resets. When you press the reset button, and the lead lights. The only thing about those is, I'll get a little bit more into it. If you get a new motherboard, like the ASUS motherboards, they do come with an adapter that you just plug yours into. It tells you exactly where everything is and plugs right into theirs. Those are phenomenal. If not, it takes a little bit of time, straining your eyes with a good light to see where everything needs to go. But everything should be in that spec book I was telling you about earlier. And that's it. I will be posting more videos. My email is my name, which is Glenn Leach. That would be GLENNLEECH @yahoo.com, and expect more videos. If you need any requests or anything, just email me. Again, Glenn Leach, yahoo.com. Thank you.